Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Morgan James!
Let me tell you a secret, put it in your heart, keep it. Something that I want you to know. Do something for me, listen to my simple story. Maybe we'll have something to show. You tell me you're cold on the inside. How can the outside world be a place your heart can replace? Be good to yourself, 'cause nobody else has the power to make you happy. How can I help you? Let me try to heal your pain you're feeling inside. Whenever you want me, know that I will be waiting for the day you say you'll be mine. Won't you let me in? Let this love begin. Won't you show me your heart right now? I'll be good to you. I can make these things true. Get to your heart right now. You need a lover who can be your friend. Something tells me I'm the one you've been looking for. If you ever should see him again, won't you tell him you'll find someone who gives you more? Someone who will protect you, love, respect you, all those things that he couldn't do for you. Like I do, or rather I would. Won't you show me your heart like you should? Pain you're feeling inside. Whenever you want me, know that I will be waiting for the day you say you'll be mine. Won't you let me in? Let this love begin. Won't you show me your heart right now? I'll be good to you. I can make these things true. Get to your heart right now. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. I'll do that in a second. Good evening. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be back here at my favourite live music venue in London. I just love Crazy Coqs and Brasserie Adele. It's such a lovely space, and I'm so delighted and honoured to be sharing my show with you this evening. When I decided to do a one-man show, I knew I wanted to include the music of George Michael. But I don't mind telling you, I had spent more than a few sleepless nights wondering how I could possibly serve the musical genius of Mr. Michael. And the first step was to go out and find a fantastic musician and musical arranger. And I did. They can't make the gig tonight, unfortunately. I do it every time. I'm just such a cheap whore for a laugh. This is the kind of style of the show. I did find a fantastic musician to accompany. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome my pianist, my musical arranger, and my dear friend, Noam Galprin. Noam and I have been working on this show now for about a year. And, yeah, roughly. And don't question me when I'm here now with the mic in my hand. And it was two of us originally, and now we've grown. Two become four. I'm sure that was a Spice Girl, or was that a different concert? Spice Girl. So yeah, I'm joined by two other fantastic musicians this evening. Please welcome on drums, Mr. Rob Parsons. I got it right. And on bass behind me, Mr. Dan Giles. I'm delighted to have them with me tonight. I have to start by coming out. I know that's early, but tonight is not a tribute show. I'm not going to spend this evening trying to sound like George, although George has clearly influenced me throughout the years. I've listened to his music all my life. Neither am I going to try and be George tonight. And sadly for me, and probably for most of you, because you have to look at me, I don't share any of George's handsome good looks. That's where you should go, but nobody did. It is true. George was a sexy Mediterranean megastar, and when I do work, I tend to either play coppers, killers, or most recently, I think the brief was, let me get this right now, tired, aging, slightly overweight dad, which was a great day in the James household, let me tell you that. What tonight is, hopefully, I want to share some stories with you, my own stories, alongside some of my favourite songs of George's throughout the years, songs that have been like a soundtrack, I suppose, to moments in my life, songs that have kept me, and I'm sure a lot of you, company throughout the years, like this next beautiful song from his 1990 album, Listen Without Prejudice. When your heart's in someone else's hand, monkey see and monkey do, their wish is your command. You're not to blame, everyone's the same. All you do is love, love is all you do. I should know by now the way I fought for you. You're not to blame, always ends the same. I know you think that you're safe, Mr. Harmless Deception that keeps love this way. It's the ones who resist that we most want to kiss, wouldn't you say? Cowboys, angels, they all have the time for you. Why should I imagine I was designed for you? Why should I believe I'd have something to say? That scar on your face, that beautiful face of yours, in your heart there's a trace of someone before. I know you think that you're safe, Mr. Harmless Deception that keeps love at bay. It's the ones that we miss that we most want to kiss, wouldn't you say? Cowboys, angels, they all have the time for you. Why should I imagine I'd be a find for you? Why should I believe that you would stay? Man to your bed, maybe his hands will help you forget. Please be stronger than your past. The future may still give you a chance. Someone before. Thank you very much. Yes, so I wanted to share some stories with you, and I suppose I have to come clean early on. Growing up, George was a bit of a guilty pleasure for me. Let me explain. Hard to believe now looking at this 6-foot, bald, bearded unit that sits in front of you, but I was actually a very shy, gentle, sensitive boy. I wasn't what you call a boy's boy, which growing up in the 80s in a very hard working class Welsh Valleys town was no easy path to navigate, let me tell you that. Thank God for my parents, for my home life. My home life was idyllic. My parents are the most loving, supportive, wonderful people I know. Even as a child, when my older brothers, who were very alpha male, would force me out into the woods at the back of our house and lob rugby balls at me in a vain attempt to make me a sportsman. And I would drop them for fear of either being hurt or, more importantly, getting mud on my top. And as they marched me back to the house, so disappointed in my lack of sports skill, my parents never judged. When all the friends that came calling for me to go out to play were little girls, my parents encouraged it. And when it became clear that one of my favourite toys was a Wendy house, my parents let me put it up in the sitting room and take tea in it. I was small then, I could get in. My home life was idyllic. My school life, that was a fucking nightmare. I went to Aberdare Boys Grammar School, which later became Aberdare Boys Comprehensive School. And it specialised in the 3 S's: sports, science, and psychopaths. In my school, boys were most definitely boys, and there was no negotiation. So, pastimes, indeed lessons, included heavy, hard-hitting contact sports, fighting, that was usually a double lesson every day, and heavy metal. Little boys certainly didn't go around quoting Victoria Wood sketches, have little girls as friends, and they most definitely didn't lock themselves in their bedroom with an aerosol can, pretending that was a microphone, miming to songs of unrequited love. I'd say love was a magical thing. I'd say love would keep us from pain. Had I been there, had I been there, I would promise you all of my life, but to lose you would cut like a knife, so I don't dare. No, I don't dare, 'cause I've never come close. In all these years, you are the only one to stop my tears. I'm so scared of this love. I bought that song without even hearing it. My best friend from the age of 3, Rhiannon, we were obsessed with the charts, smash hits, top of the pops, anything. She rang me and said, George has got a new song out, but he's not with Wham. I think he's leaving Wham. I didn't know how to process this news, but I knew I needed the single. I ran down to Aberdare as soon as I could to Woolworths. Do you remember Woolworths? It's like the epicenter of every town, wasn't it? And it had this huge record department, and the singles would always be laid out on the wall. Do you remember, in chronological order, depending on where they were in the charts? And you never wanted to walk in and see your single with "out of stock." It was there. Not only was there, it was a picture cover. Remember those on singles, picture covers? I bought it, I ran home, I played it, I loved it. I knew I would. I was developing my taste in music, and I knew that George was someone who, I don't know why, I loved the music, I loved the voice, but there was an angst that touched me. No, I've never come close. In all these years, you are the only one to stop my tears. And I'm so scared of this love. And if all there is this fear of being used, I should go back to being lonely, lonely and confused. If I could, I would, I swear. I swear. So, school was a daily battlefield. It was every day, it was some kind of jibe or push or hit or remark. I learned very early on to survive two ways. I realized I was quite funny, so I'd use humor quite a lot, but that could backfire. So on the times where I really, really didn't want to get involved, I would just keep my head down, stay under the radar, not be noticed. It's a strategy that has served me along the years sometimes, but has also probably hurt me along the years. But it was my way of surviving. I didn't quite understand what the problem was. I was me, I was polite, I was well-dressed, I turned up to class on time, but for some reason, no matter what I did, I was queer, wrong, gay. Before I even knew what these words were, they were pejorative. They meant bad, damaged. All I wanted to do was belong, but I was an outsider. The only wonderful thing about being an outsider, even though you don't realize it as a young boy, is that you've got to find your own people. And mine were marvelous. All girls, of course. There was Rhiannon, who I'd known since I was 3. She was the yin to my yang, whereas I was the shy, gentle, sensitive boy. She was the gregarious, gobby tomboy, fearless. Her crimes against fitting in were that she loved Gothic novels, and she was brainy. That was a crime in our schools, Rhiannon, the bloody swat. So she didn't fit in. Then there was Julie, who was the town goth. You can imagine how that went down on the Aberdare streets. Everybody gave her a swerve. And then there was the final one, it's true, Marie Claire was the final one of the 4. Maz, as we called her. Lovely, funny, big heart, but also big. So you had the 4 of us, rum bunch. You had the fairy, you had the swat, you had the goth, and you had the fatty. But together, I know, but look at us now. Actually, they're probably still wandering around Aberdare. But together, we were united. We were unbroken. Nothing or no one could damage us with their words, with their fists. It didn't matter. We were different, but we embraced each other for our differences. And we shared so many things in common. We loved the same films, we loved the same comedy, the same music. We particularly loved the new solo album from George Michael. I've had enough of danger. People on the streets. I'm looking out for angels, just trying to find some peace. I think it's time that you let me know. So if you love me, say you love me. But if you don't, then just let me go. 'Cause teacher, there are things that I don't want to learn. And the last one I had made me cry. So I don't wanna learn to hold you, touch you, feel that you're mine, because there ain't no joy for this uptown boy whose teachers told him goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, when I was just a stranger and I was at your feet, I didn't feel the danger. Now I feel the heat. That look in your eyes, telling me no. But if you say that you love me, and you really love me, I know you're wrong. I wrote this song, just let me go. Teacher, there are things that I don't want to learn, and the last one I had made me cry. So I don't wanna learn to hold you, touch you, feel that you're mine, because there ain't no joy for an uptown boy whose teacher has told him goodbye, goodbye, just one more try. Thank you. Thank you very much. I sang that song at an audition in school in the fifth form, year 11. 3 boys in my year were trying to set up a band for some Pebble Mill competition, school band of the year or something. Could I sound more disparaging? I gained a bit of a reputation at this stage as a bit of a performer. You know, it's the kind of slightly ironic cliche, the shy boy who can't express himself finds an outlet through acting and singing, and I joined some theatre companies, and I'd also got some work on television in some TV dramas. I thought the TV work might make me more popular with the cool kids, but it was just another level to take to ridicule and bully me, and who knew acting was gay? Gosh. But things had slightly changed, calmed down slightly. Some of the boys in my year were now sort of reluctantly hanging out with me, and the main reason was I was friends with girls. Girls were now cool, so I was by osmosis cool. And they'd see me, you know, out with the girls chatting, sort of suave. I was like Cary Grant or George Clooney, you know, suave, relaxed, telling jokes. They were so comfortable in my company, and I was in them. I loved female company. But they were struggling to meet girls, so what happened was I would go out on a date with a girl that I quite liked, and I'd ask her to bring a friend, and I'd bring a lad from school. I was kind of like a low-level pimp, without the cash. Anyway, we'd go on these dates, and you know, I had a great time. I think I was very good boyfriend material. I always used to get to first base. I think that's what I mean it is. But I was always very complimentary. I was always on time. I was always well dressed. You know, I'd compliment the girl on the date I was with on her hair, makeup, the fabric of her dress, and how it just, you know. They loved it. They always wanted a second date. But I didn't feel those butterflies that I'd read about and seen in movies and in songs. You know, my heart didn't flutter. I really liked these girls, but I don't know, it was just nice. But when I looked at the boys, these alpha males who led with their groins and went around threatening everybody in school, when they were with a girl, they were like morons. They were tongue-tied, completely useless. And that's when I started to hear this voice in my head that wouldn't go away, saying, you know the way the boys are with the girls? That's how you are with the boys. Well, I guess it would be nice if I could touch your body. I know not everybody has got a body like you, but I gotta think twice before I give my heart away. I know all the games you play, 'cause I played them too. Need some time off from that emotion. Time to get my heart back off the floor. Real love coming without devotion. Well, it takes a strong man, baby, but I'm showing you the door. I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. I got to have faith. Baby, I hear every word you say. Keep saying, please don't go away. You say I'm giving you the blues. I can't help but think of yesterday and another who tied me down to the lover boy blues. Before this river becomes an ocean, before you stamp my heart back on the floor, I reconsider my foolish notion. Well, I need someone to hold me, but I'll wait for something more. 'Cause I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. I got to have faith. Before this river becomes an ocean, before you put my heart back on the floor, reconsider my foolish notion. Well, I need someone to hold me, but I'll wait for something more. Thank you very much. Oh, I didn't get the the singing role in the band, by the way, just to add on. They came into the form room the next day and they said, yeah, we heard your song. He sounds a bit like George Michael and he's a wanker. I think they're still playing in the Red Bull in Clewcoid if you want to go and see them. Time for another song, I think. Every day I see you in some other face. You crack a smile, talk a while, try to take your place. Oh, my memory serves me far too well. I just sit here on this mountain thinking to myself, you're a fool, boy, why don't you go down, find somebody else. My memory serves me far too well. It's not as though we just broke up. It's not as though it was yesterday. But something in me can't explain. Something in me needs this pain. I know I'll never see your face again. Everybody's talking about this new decade. Like you say some magic numbers, then we wave goodbye to the stupid mistakes we made. Oh, my memory serves me far too well. The years will come and go. Some of us will change our lives. Some of us still have nothing to show. But memories, and if these wounds they are self-inflicted, I don't really know how my poor heart could have protected me. But if you will not share this pain, if you will not share the blame, I deserve to see your face again. Don't you keep me waiting for the day. Waiting for that day. Thank you. That song, as some of you may know, comes from George's 1990 album, Listen Without Prejudice. It was a seminal album for George, really. It was his start of becoming himself, sort of coming out and being the artist he wanted to be after the bubblegum pop of Wham and the sort of sexy cowboy image of Faith. Neither of which really sat comfortably with him. This was George's way of saying, look, this is the music I want to make, this is the look I want to have. And when that album came out, I, in my very, very small way, was also going through some major life changes. I finally left home to go to study drama. Moving home was actually an incredibly emotional time for me, as much as I loathed school and the people that were in it. I didn't know how to politely say that then. My home was my haven, it was my harbour. And I'd compartmentalised both lives very easily from a young age, so I never actually ever took any of the stories home with me. It was the only way I could survive, so school was school and my home was my happy place, and so to leave that behind now, I felt incredibly vulnerable, but I wanted to be an actor and I knew I had to go to the one and only place at that time to be an actor, London. We had an aunt who was very dear to us, who was an opera singer at the Opera House, who lived in London. So we would come 4 or 5 times a year. I was very familiar with it. She lived in Kensington, so I was quite excited to sort of, spend my weekends sashaying down the King's Road and hanging out on the Fulham Road. And I went to university in Hounslow and shared a house with 6 lads in Wood Green. Reality's always slightly different. Yes, 44 Tottenhall Road. The biggest shithole I have ever had the misfortune to step into in my life. An hour from university, 7 men, 18, 19 years of age, with 1 bathroom. I actually once bought a pedestal mat to try and make it look nicer. Give you an insight into how I was. It didn't work. And yet, I put that album on now, even now, when I'm back there. It's such happy memories. We were so poor, I remember my brother was much older, he was a captain in the army. And he'd sent, because I was, struggling with money and stuff, he'd sent 2 boxes of, tins, really. They were basically food that they'd go out on manoeuvres, but they were clearly out of date, because you couldn't have got rid of them. So he sent them to me by special delivery, and they had no labels on them. They were just tins. So we'd come home at night, no money, open a couple of tins, and Christ knows what you were going to have for food. But happy times. And for the first time ever, I had male friends, boys that I got on with, wanted to get on with me and hang out with me. One in particular, Michael. On paper, we should never really have got on. I could barely catch a ball. He loved every sport on earth, even watched darts. I mean, that's unfathomable. I looked like a young Tory. I was always in check shirts, braces and blazers to try and impress my older brothers. He dressed like Robert Smith from The Cure. And I had now overcompensated for years of being under the radar by becoming a complete chatterbox stream of consciousness. He was monosyllabic and barely spared you the breath. He spoke when he needed to. But we just got on. We shared the same sense of humour. We could make each other laugh out loud. And we would travel the hour to university every day together. Him with a book, me with my Walkman, sharing stories, anecdotes. And I started to feel those butterflies that I'd heard of, that I'd never felt before. It excited me, but it also terrified me, because if that was the case, then all those bullies, those critics, were right. I was odd, different. And Michael was my best friend. I couldn't tell him how I felt. What if he didn't feel the same way? I won't let you down. I will not give you up. Gotta have some faith in the sound. It's the one good thing that I've got. I won't let you down, so please don't give me up. 'Cause I would love to stick around, oh yeah. Heaven knows I was just a young boy, didn't know what I wanted to be. I was every little hungry schoolgirl's pride and joy, and I guess he was enough for me. But to win the race, prettier face, get brand new clothes, get a big fat space on rock and roll TV. But the way I choose to play my game has got to change, oh yeah. I wanna go and get me some happy. I think there's something you should know. I think it's time I told you so. There's someone deep inside of me. There's someone else I've got to be. Take back your picture in a frame. Take back your singing in the rain. Just hope you understand. Sometimes the clothes do not make a man. All we have to do now is take these lies, make them true somehow. All we have to see. I don't belong to you, you don't belong to me. Yeah, freedom, freedom, freedom. Give for what you take. I won't let you down. Please don't give me up. 'Cause I would love to stick around, oh yeah. Looks like the road to heaven, feels like the road to hell. I knew which side my bread was buttered, I'd like the knife as well. They're posing for another picture Everybody has to sell, but when you shake your ass, they notice fast. Some mistakes are built to last. That's what you get. That's what you get. That's what you get for changing your mind. That's what you get. And after all this time, I just hope you understand. Sometimes the clothes do not make the man. Make them true somehow. All we have to see. I don't belong to you. You don't belong to me. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm going to take a short break. I'd really love you to stick around, so we'll see you in a little while. Thank you very much. I think I'm done with the sofa. I think I'm done with the hall. I think I'm done with the kitchen table, baby. Let's go outside in the sunshine. I know you want to, but you can't say yes outside in the moonshine. Take me to the places that I love best. My angel, she says, don't you worry about the things they say, yeah. Got no friends in high places, and the game that you gave away wasn't worth playing outside in the sunshine. I know you want to, but you can't say yes outside in the moonshine. Take me to the places that I love best. And yes, I've been bad. Doctor, won't you do with me what you can? You see, I think about it all of the time, 24/7. You see, you want it, you got it. I never really said it before. There's nothing here but flesh and bone. There's nothing more, nothing more. There's nothing I think I'm done with the sofa. I think I'm done with the hall. I think I'm done with the kitchen table, baby. Oh, let's go outside in the sunshine. I know you want to, but you can't say yes outside in the moonshine. Take me to the places that I love best. And yes, I've been bad. Doctor, won't you do with me what you can? You see, I think about it all of the time. I'd service the community if I already had. You see, I've never really said it before. There's nothing here but flesh and bone. There's nothing more, nothing more. There's nothing. outside. Thank you. I wasn't going to share this, but when I first did this show, a friend of mine came, and they said afterwards, when I sang that song, they said, "Oh gosh, now I've seen your sex face." Not quite. I thought you were straining round then to look at it for some reason. That unnerved me. So, not at Crazy Coqs, surely. That song, as some of you may know, was born from a rather embarrassing incident that George found himself in a public toilet in Los Angeles. I think that's what I've always admired about talents like George, particularly George. He would take the pleasurable things in his life and also the very painful things and turn them into art, turn them into fantastic songs. In fact, he often said his career was so strong very often because his private life had been so painful, and so he would work that into his art, and no matter what he did in his private life, his career seemed indestructible. He once described his career as like a red dot, and he just focused on it, and like a missile, never wavered. It could never be damaged. My career has been less of a red dot, more of a black hole, really. I'm a jack of all. I think you'd call me a hustler, with varying levels of degree and critique. Some that stick in my mind, back in the early days when I was doing a lot of musical theatre in the West End and touring. I remember during a rehearsal, one musical director coming up to me and saying, "Do you know what, Morgan? Underneath all that fat, there's a leading man." I actually think they thought they were giving me good advice. And then another time at the RSC, I remember the assistant director, I was having a bit of a whinge about my part. It wasn't very big, you know. And they said, "Yeah, Morgan, what you've got to understand, with a face like yours, you'll work when you're old." Oh, there's more. We could do a whole show on that. The gift that keeps on giving, though, is when I tell people that I was in Riverdance and they get very excited and go, "Oh my God, you can dance." And I went, no, I was the lead singer. God, I can't remember any singers in Riverdance. That's always a good one. But yeah, George's red dot, eh? I think the grass is always greener, though. I think I can't imagine what it must have been like for George in his formative years. 19, he was a global phenomenon. When Faith came out, he sold more albums than Michael Jackson, Madonna, and Prince. And yet, inside, there was an incredible agony going on about his private life. I found it hard enough, and I had the beauty of anonymity. I mentioned Michael earlier, and I really toyed with what do I do. You see, all I knew about gay or queer was that it was wrong. It was socially unacceptable. And there were no role models, you know. We had the likes of John Inman and Larry Grayson and Danny LaRue, and these were, we laughed, but they were talented men and brave men, but they were, you know, kind of sexless and kind of a tragic clown. And I didn't want that to be my future. I didn't know who to turn to, where I could turn. But I got the courage to tell Michael how I feel, and he reciprocated by telling me he felt exactly the same way. Aww. You haven't heard the rest of the story yet. I was like that, I was on cloud nine. Can you imagine? I thought, well, this is terrifying and exciting at the same time. And we'd been at a house party over the Christmas holidays, and I remember going back to Cardiff Station to get the train home to Aberdeen, ringing my parents, and they told me that they'd had to put my dog down because there had been an accident. And I remember at the time going, this is God getting me back for last night. When I went back to college, I didn't speak to Michael for 3 months. The shame, the hurt, the self-loathing kicked in yet again, and I didn't know where to turn. And when I finally told him, he just hugged me and said, I understand. Let's take it slow, let's keep it our secret. And we kept it our secret for 8 years. Through fear, through excitement, but also through shame. Not only we were frightened to tell our loved ones, you're frightened of losing people, but something else was going on in the world at this time. It was the pandemic AIDS. was at its height. There was a saying I remember at the time for gay men, it's not if, it's when. So religion told us we were wrong, society told us we were wrong, and now when nature was saying we won't be mocked. George, years later, being interviewed, said it was the reason why he didn't tell his mother he didn't want her to be frightened for him. And so he kept his secret way into his 20s. But he did what he did best and used that dark cloud, that threat of AIDS, as inspiration for this next fantastic song. 5 o'clock in the morning, you ain't home. Can't help thinking that's strange. I just want you to know I won't go through it again. Oh no, those clouds are rolling in, and I will not accept this as a part of my life. I will not live in fear of what may be. No, 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 no. I would rather be alone than watch you spinning that wheel for me. You gotta think about danger, baby. Ain't you getting what you want from me? You gotta think about strangers, baby. That is just what we used to be. You gotta think about danger, baby. I guess the hungry just can't see. One of these days you're gonna bring some hope to me. 6 o'clock in the morning, you ain't called. Can't help thinking that's strange. Seems that everybody takes their chances these days. Oh yeah. We're standing in the rain, and I will not accept this as a part of my life. I will not live in fear of what may be. No, 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 no. I would rather be alone than watch you spinning that wheel for me. You gotta think about danger, baby. Ain't you getting what you want from me? You gotta think about strangers, baby. That is just what we used to be. You gotta think about danger, baby. I guess the hungry just can't see. One of these days you're gonna bring some hope. How can you love me? You are playing with my life. You say, give me time and I'll do better. Give me time and I'll lead you back to despair. I don't wanna go back, I don't wanna go back there. I don't wanna go back, I don't wanna go back there. Just can't see. One of these days you're gonna bring some hope to me. Thank you. This next song is from the same album. The last song is from Older. Thank you. some education, made my way into the night. All that bullshit conversation, baby, can't you read the signs? One boy with a detail, baby, gotta get there in your own sweet time. Let's just say that maybe you could help to ease my mind. Baby, I ain't Mr. Right, but if you're looking for fast love, that's love in your eyes. It's more than enough, had some bad love, so fast love is all that I've got on my mind. Looking for some affirmation, made my way into the sun. My friends got their ladies, they're all having babies. I just wanna have some fun. One boy with a detail, baby, gotta get there in your own sweet time. Let's just say that maybe you could help to ease my mind. Baby, I ain't Mr. Right, but if you're looking for fast love, that's love in your eyes. It's more than enough, had some bad love, so fast love is all that I've got on my mind. In the absence of security, I made my way into the night. Stupid Cupid keeps on calling me. I see loving in his eyes. I do believe that we are practicing the same religion. But if you're looking for fast love, that's love in your eyes. It's more than enough, had some bad love, so fast love is all that I've got on my mind. Thank you very much. Thank you. I love the little trio at the back going back and forth there. Fantastic. Like little backing singers. No, keep it down, keep it down. Thank you. Actually, see how the show goes. I might bring you up. Okay, we need distraction. Yeah. I get serious again. I finally became the man I wanted to be. Finally became myself. When I was about, well, I knew exactly, I was 27 years of age. Michael and I, our relationship was floundering under the secrets and the lies, and it was a very dark time for me. I was really low. I was hiding this huge secret that I just didn't know what to do with, and I went where I always go in times of trouble. I went back to my parents, and I remember sitting in their kitchen, sobbing, tears running down my face. And I finally, from somewhere, got the courage to say I was gay. And my parents stood up and put their arms around me. And in that moment, in that hug, which seemed to last for eternity, all the shame, all the loathing, all the fear lifted. And all of a sudden I could start to be who I was supposed to be. Nothing changed. I didn't turn into Larry Grayson. I didn't get thrown out of the house. I didn't start, I don't know, sleeping around with loads of men. I wasn't a threat. But I was able to be myself, truly. I didn't have to worry about what pronoun I used in a conversation at a party. I didn't have to worry about, in auditions, outside the door, don't be too gay, don't be too this, don't be that, don't let them know. I just took all of me in the room. And finally, I could tell the people who mattered to me most, that Michael wasn't my friend, my flatmate. He was my partner, and has remained my partner ever since. Thank you. He's here. I should put a spotlight on him just to see how disgusted. No, I'm not going to do that. He'd be disgusted. No, not at all. It's my show. We could finally move forward. And George writes about such a time for his album Patience, about the courage that is needed to come out, and also those who've gone before us who didn't have the courage or lived in a different time. I realised I was living in a time now where it was slightly getting easier and the world was warming. The story goes in George's family that on the day he was born, his mother lost her brother. He killed himself because he was sensitive. And I was telling this to my parents when I was planning the show, or the list of songs I was going to sing, and this one song came up, and I told the story, and my mother said, "This sounds like Russell." I'd heard of Russell, but I knew nothing about Russell. And she said Russell was my cousin, much older cousin, but he'd killed himself in the 50s. He was, she said, a lovely man, always well-dressed, bachelor, sensitive, she said. But he just couldn't cope. And so I would like to sing this song tonight for all the Russells who've come before us, who lived in a different time, who didn't have the support, the love, the opportunity to truly be who they were. And in the hope that one day their stories, although vitally important, never to be forgotten, will be stories and not things that still happen today. My mother had a brother, oversensitive and kind. Seems the empty spaces tortured him till he took his own life. I can't imagine her joy and pain in equal measure. Tears in the dirt all over her newborn treasure. I guess he couldn't wait for the things that I've seen. Guess he wasn't strong enough, he never dared to dream a life like mine. Mama, will you tell him from your boy the times they changed? I guess the world was getting warmer and we got stronger. Mother, will you tell him about your boy? I live each day for him. Your son came out, yeah, and I'm just breathing in. Same desire, different time. Seems it all became much too much for him until he took his own life. I don't know why I waited so long for love. I just don't know what I was thinking of. All that wasted time. And I swear now that freedom is here, I'm gonna taste it all for you, boy. I'm bad to the bone, I'm just a little torn, making so much love. And those of us who have nothing to fear, we better make damn sure that he was worth it. Bad to the bone, just a little torn, making so much love. I was a prisoner, but he saved me, came into to my dreams, said who cares? I was in prison, so betray me. I'm glad to be home, and I don't believe they care. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're coming to the end of the evening now. Oh, thank you. Right answer. Hopefully my stories will continue and I'll have more to share. But there's one I have to touch on, really, before we finish. And that was, for me, again, it happened in my parents' kitchen. It was where a lot of stuff, drama seems to happen. It was late on Christmas Day, 2016. And it was Rhiannon, actually, that sent me the message, full circle, which just said, George is dead. And I'm sure a lot of us who are fans of George, it's funny, isn't it, when loss of someone you never knew, but who was a huge part of elements of your life. You know, when I was happy, I'd put George's music on. When I was sad, I'd put George's music on. When, you know, getting in the groove, I'd put George's music on. And all of a sudden, this icon, this master singer, musician, was gone, like that. And I don't want to speculate on what happened, that's not my place or time to do, but since his death, I think we've realized that he was such a decent, good man. The money that he gave away anonymously, and a dear friend and dear family member. And the family have had another tragedy this year, actually, on Christmas Day, which is slightly unbelievable. But I wanted to sing a song to mark him. After all, it's his music that has been my soundtrack tonight. And there's so many to choose. But I kept coming back to one. One song that George wrote when he was in the deepest despair of grief. He'd lost his partner to AIDS. And I was reading up today on him, and he said, actually, when he wrote this song, he said it was so amazing to finally put on paper what I felt for him. So I'd like to sing this song tonight and say thank you, George, for the music. Let's make it for two, for every single melody has become a part of me. You will always be like Jesus to a child. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please... Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What a lovely, lovely, warm audience. I really, really appreciate you coming tonight on this January night and sharing my story with me. Please help me now thank three fantastic musicians who have really made my night, please. And I hope yours. On piano, my musical arranger, Noam Dalton. On drums, Rob Parsons. He always thinks I'm going to get his name wrong. And on bass, Dan Giles. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Nico on sound and lights. And one more person I'd just like to thank who doesn't get the credit on the brochure and the website, but my wonderful producer and creative writer who's here tonight. Please give a round of applause for Alison Johnson. There are so many songs that I could close with, and I wanted to leave with a message. I wanted to close with a song that George wrote 30 years ago, and that shows his talent. It's as relevant today as it was 30 years ago. We live in interesting times. Some would say we live in frightening times, where fear is preached, and hatred, and fear of difference. And I would like us to hopefully leave tonight having hopefully enjoyed this evening, but also, if there's one message, it's that our differences make us. We're all different, but we're all equal. And I have great faith in people. I believe all the hatred and the fear that's being spewed at the moment, I do believe that love will conquer all. So let's keep with it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tonight. I've really enjoyed your company, and I hope you've enjoyed mine. I don't mean to make you cry, sorry. These are the days of the open hand. You hold on to what you can. Charity is a coat you wear twice a year. This is the year of the hungry man, whose place is in the past, hand in hand now with ignorance and legitimate excuses. The rich declare themselves poor, and most of us are not sure. We may have too much, but we'll take our chances, 'cause God stopped keeping score. And we cling to the things they showed you. Did we cover your eyes when they told you that he can't come back, 'cause he has no children to come back for? It's hard to love. There's so much to hate, hanging on to hope when there is no hope to speak of, and the wounded skies above say it's much, much too late. Or maybe we should all be praying for time. This is the year of the empty hands. You hold on to what you can. Charity, it's that coat you wear twice a year. This is the year of the guilty man. Your television takes a stand, and you find out that what was over there is over here. So you scream from behind your door, say what's mine is mine, not yours. I may have too much, but I'll take my chances, 'cause God stopped keeping score. And you cling to the things they sold you. Did you cover your eyes when they told you he can't come back 'cause he has no children to come back for? It's hard to love, there's so much to hate, hanging on to hope when there is no hope to speak of, and the wounded skies above say it's much too late. Well, maybe we should all be praying for time. Maybe we should all be praying for time. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. One more song. Okay. Hang on, let me clean my voice. One more. They've got another band coming in. What is this? Bingo! You pay me, thank you. It's a bit of a slowie, I'm afraid. Hey, at this stage, there's only one song you can finish any show that features George Michael's music. Feel free to sing along. But not yet, and not too loud, okay? Time can never mend. Not yet. The careless whisper of a good friend to the heart and mind. Ignorance is kind. There's no comfort in the truth. Pain is all you'll find. You can get your lighters out if you want. I feel so unsure as I I take your hand and lead you to the dance floor. As the music dies, something in your eyes calls to mind a silver screen and all those sad goodbyes. I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm, though it's easy to pretend. I know you're not a fool. Should've known better than to cheat a friend, waste the chance that I've been given. Oh, I'm never gonna dance again the way I dance with you. You sound gorgeous. Ready for the key change? Tonight the music seems so loud. I wish that we could lose this crowd. And maybe it's better this way. We'd hurt each other with the things we want to say. We could have been so good together. We should have